Hey, you. Are you sneaking out? Well, all I gotta say is, thanks for sneaking over and chilling with us on Cinema Recap. That's right, baby, because today we're gonna watch some believable excuse for an adventure film called Alibi.com. It's a snarky movie about a deceptive service, so let's lie our way right into this. Spoilers ahead. Ah yes, I too love a $1,000 iPhone ringing obnoxiously at my face. The dude picks up and it sounds like his lady's angry. Good morning to her as well. Looks like a common case of NTR. And I was right. This is Paul Edward, a scum who cheated on his woman with this floozy. Paul asks whoever is on the other line for help, but whoever that is asks for a compensation in the form of some moonshots. Then they agree to give Paul a number for some secret service.
Je vais le tuer! Sur la tête de ma mère, je vais le tuer!
Then a knock on the door, and it's her hubby, Paul. Some dudes escort him because apparently he has a neck injury due to some heroic save of a blind boy's dog. The woman then totally buys it.
Et voilà, il lui restait plus qu'à profiter pleinement de sa journée sans se soucier de rien, et ce, grâce à nous.
Looks like Gregory von Huffel, the French PewDiePie over here, has quite the service. Albeit pretty shady and scummy, but that guy in the suit, Mehdi, looks invested in it. The CEO says that the inspiration for the business is his mother catching his father cheating, and he never recovered from it. He thinks if she never caught him, his childhood wouldn't have been so crummy. Apparently, Mehdi's interested in being hired into this business, but Gregory's colleague, Augustine, isn't too on board with that. Gregory actually welcomes him. He accepts by asking when training's gonna start.
Part du principe qu'un petit mensonge fait moins de mal que la vérité. Vivre ses envies et rester discret, c'est notre devise.
Then some woman comes in and picks up the cupcakes. She has to be a customer because she's passing these cupcakes as products from a made-up cooking class. Apparently, the CEO thinks that the business isn't immoral. He just made something to protect people. Man's in a deep copium. He argues that his business doesn't do mostly adulteries. Exhibit A is this guy. He tells these people that his business meeting got moved, therefore he can't join them for dinner. In reality, it's all a fake. He just wanted an excuse to be with the boys and watch a football game. Pretty based if you ask me. Next satisfied customer is about to go to the mountains with his mother, and his wife wants no part of it. In reality, he parties somewhere and he keeps on winning lotteries and making them not known to his wife, because they're about to go into a divorce. Our next prospect seems to be a celebrity and is seen faking a kissy-kissy moment, only to cover his own homosexuality.
Trouver des alibis infaillibles pour préserver le jardin secret de nos clients.
We're then taken on a car ride scene with the rest of the Alibi crew, along with Clara, who's apparently a desperate ex of Greg trying to get a drink with him. It ends kinda awkwardly, with Augustine suddenly wanting to pull over so that he can talk to Greg in private.
Alors arrête de flipper, personne prendra ta place. On est une équipe de super-héros, tu te rappelles?
That's Augustine feeling insecure about the fresh meat, alright. He eventually cheers up, but then he tries to make Greg go with Clara. And he immediately gets shut down when Greg calls him a virgin. Absolutely destroyed. It explains why he looks like a soy jack. The two suddenly find a dog tied to a tree, so Gregory lets it loose, but it gets run over. Then its owner comes to find her dog maimed. It's inevitable that Greg lies about Lookie, the run-over dog, so he has to feel guilty while being with its owner. The vet comes out to say the dog bit the dust. Nah, joking. Dog's fine. Then the doc tries to pass a celebratory blunt, but the two are narcs, so they pass. The doc then tells the two of them to pick the dog up the following day. Greg's about to go, but before that,
Je m'appelle Florence. Florence Martin. Gregory. Gregory Van Uffel.
he should have accepted the sloppy seconds offer. Augustine gets there to pick up Gregory. Back at the office, he stalks Florence through Facebook and even sends her a friend request. Looks like Greg's head over heels. Later, a customer comes in, he gives them the services they offer and ends with an agreement. He then sees that Florence has invited him out to a date, thanks to Lookie, the dog, being A-OK. At the date, looks like Greg's hitting it off pretty well, but apparently he doesn't think it's a date because Flo's Facebook status says that she's in a relationship. Flo tells him that it's just a ploy so she wouldn't get thirsty requests. A strike later and Flo's apparently a lawyer.
J'essaye de faire appliquer le droit. Je supporte pas les fraudeurs, tricheurs et menteurs en tout genre.
Oh, snap. So Flo asks what he does for a living, and Greg lies his butt off, telling her that he's a flight attendant. So they have a little bowling bet, and without noticing, Greg accidentally throws looky and scores a strike. Good thing Flo wasn't watching. Greg wins, so he gets to tell Flo what to do. Later that night, we see an elderly couple driving an old Pinto when suddenly, it's like one of those live Jasmine tactics that e-girls use. After that weirdly satisfying display, Greg laughs. And so it's time for a new challenge. Flo and Greg hold each other's chins, and whoever laughs first gets a slap. They get a bit frisky, but Greg giggles, so Flo's hand comes flying. Date successful. Cue the victorious musical number. Soon they start to hit it off, go on multiple dates. It goes so well. Too well. Even Flo's mom sees all of Greg's, glory. So they sit around awkwardly in Flo's living room while the adult toy just blows the awkwardness way out of proportion. Things are going swimmingly for Greg's love life. Then some kid named Charlie shows up. He says he needs an alibi not to go to school because he's getting bullied. Greg says that he already has too many alibis.
Tu peux dire que j'ai la ménopause de maman depuis qu'elle a ça, elle va plus travailler.
That's amazing. Totally believable. Then Meddy comes in to sort of gloat to Augustine that he and Greg will be going somewhere, which Augustine feels left out. So later, Greg and Flo go to their parents' place to meet up with them. To Greg's hilarious shock, it's the customer who visited Greg while he was stalking Flo on Facebook. Gerard shakes his hand and is also in shock. The couple goes in and then Greg meets Marlene, Flo's mom again. Only this time at least he's not naked. Marlene says that she invited Maurice, who she says is some poor schmuck who got cheated on. Then Maurice actually shows up, and now Greg and Gerard have a bit of a heated banter in a wine cellar for Greg. They call each other out for the other's lies, but they eventually come to try to reach a controversial conclusion. They either keep up the lies or admit themselves both to Flo. The banquet begins, and they take a look at some lovely photos of Maurice's wife before he got cucked. Then so begins a long and painful guilt trip towards the two men unknowingly done by their own women. After that, Greg fixes some stuff in the bathroom, and another round of guilt tripping ensues once Flo walks in. Greg's really feeling that pressure from his guilt now. Little later, just as an excuse instead of really flying out to Tanzania, Greg checks into a hotel, and then he gets a loving message from his fiancée saying that she misses him. Greg then watches Jean-Claude's Bloodsport, yeah, we recapped that a few months ago, and Gerard calls him about his fake credit card being maxed out. Apparently, he spent too much on booze, but Greg pulls him out of this one. Then Gerard sees where all the booze guzzling's coming from. In a hotel room, Gerard and his side chick watch some women dancing on an iPad. Then the chick gets frisky, but only if he can get some liquor. He buys some outside, but finds his wife is staying at the same hotel. So he sneaks to hide in a room, only for it to be his wife and daughter's room. Marlene tries to call him, and the idiot forgets to silence his phone, so...
Surprise!
And what a flaccid surprise it is. He lies that his seminar ended early, so he decided to surprise Marlene on their wedding anniversary. How sweet. Not. Then Greg calls and he fakes that he just arrived in Tanzania. He's shocked to know Gerard is with him. So eventually he ends the call smoothly. Then he and Gerard have a little heated private call and Greg is left to bring Gerard's stuff to him. Someone calls up Cynthia Bellini to note that Gerard has been arrested for being drunk and assault. She buys it and Greg books it. The A-team is here. They need to break into his home just to get his stuff. Augustine is eager to help by cutting that power, but he instead cuts everyone else's power, and Gerard's home is still lit up. Meddy tries to punch the glass door open, but just embarrasses himself. Gerard then texts Greg that the keys are in the flower pot. They finally get in and suppress the cameras to get Gerard's stuff, but Maurice shows up to feed the dog, so they all go into hiding. Maurice, still high off copium, rubs a long one out to Marlene, while the boys witness the event from under the bed. He finishes, takes a quick ciggy, and throws it out. Unfortunately, it lands on poor little Lookie, and now she's set on fire. So Maurice rushes down to kick her into the pool. The alibi crew takes this opportunity to grab the stuff and book it. So the team zoom out in their van, and Greg checks the list. Everything's there, except the pictures of the zebras for Flo. Meddy says he forgot to take some meds for his narcolepsy, but he'll be fine. Mostly. Eventually he wakes up and agrees to stop at the nearest stop, but he falls asleep again. This time the driver switches with Augustine, and he drives them to a circus tent so that Greg can have his zebra photo. They let one out of the tents, and as Greg was about to take a picture, it kicked both Augustine and Medi. Once they recover, it's gone, so they look for it until they find a tied white horse and come up with an idea. Back to the hotel, everyone's asleep, until Gerard sneaks out. Flo catches wind of it and goes after her father. Eventually, she catches him in another room.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais là?
C'est plutôt à moi de te poser la question.
And he comes prepared. He passes it off as some secret necklace inspection for his wife. She buys this, and he agrees to meet her downstairs for breakfast. He then talks to the fake butler regarding Cynthia, which the alibi team has already taken care of. There's Cynthia, and she's not with some land shark, but instead she meets up with Greg and Medi, who are posing as Universal music producers. Then she spots one of his supposed talents, so she forces him to say hi to him. Then he gets into some awkward situation with him that ends with him buying him drinks.
Champagne.
Champagne, ok.
Then Augustine comes in with a message saying he's tailing Marlene and Gerard, but Flo is nowhere to be seen. They pass and spit out the wine, but Augustine accidentally drinks the regurgitated wine. Soon Marlene and Gerard deviate from the tour and they take a caddy. Augustine needs to catch up, so he channels his inner Ezio, but he chickens out at the last minute. Meanwhile, Marlene and Gerard are playing Tokyo Drift, driving erratically through a forest park, and then run a kid over.
Splendide le château!
Flo's in a cab and soon receives the pictured text of Greg with a zebra. More drunken babbling shoved in your face. This time, it's from Cynthia. Then Greg gets 12 missed FaceTime calls from his main squeeze. That usually doesn't end well. He then asks some hat vendor to pretend to be a tour guide, and he calls up Flo. Apparently, Flo was worried because of a freak earthquake that happened in Tanzania. It's all good as Flo's believing it, but she's coming to the same beach where Greg is. He then goes back to Cynthia, lies to her to make her move to another place.
C'est la merde. Flo arrive ici.
The cute old couple take a nice walk on the beach, and Marlene actually apologizes that she's become boring. Ah man, here comes the guilt.
Si t'avais été voir ailleurs, j'aurais pu le comprendre.
Well, girl, you don't know the half of it. Then to make matters worse, she professes her love to him. God, this is too good. They romantically skip a few stones until they hit a kid. Back to Flo's situation. Medi's watching her every move, while she notices that the hat vendor looks too much like the Tanzanian tour guide that Greg had. Close call because it's actually a different guy. Whew. Then she buys a robe off of him and tries to FaceTime Greg. No luck. She tries the hotel line, so she stumbles upon the concierge of the hotel not knowing anyone named Gregory Van Huffel. Yo boy, she's beginning to sniff dirt. Well, on the parents' side, the two are having fun dancing with the crowd. They bust a few grooves here and there and even kiss. Well, there's Greg, stuck with taking Cynthia away while his car breaks down on the side of the road. And there goes Medi. Hey, maybe he finally finds Amelia Earhart.
Mais là, la voiture est vraiment en panne.
C'est ça. Mais ça, c'est des vrais.
Amazingly, she thinks this breakdown is a lie. Then Augustine gets picked up by a van filled with some comic book weirdos. At least they offer him a ride and some wine. Then they force him to come to Comic-Con, but he refuses and... Should have been the Flash, cause that was too fast. Then Storm seduces him. But it turns out that she wasn't really attractive, but really old. Augustine is just too wasted to see it. Further into the night, Medi finally wakes up, only to end up in some illegal immigrant's boat. Once they land, they flee the Coast Guard and Medi tries to frame him, but he gets caught too. Flo's mom and dad are home, and Flo's delighted that they had a good time. But soon she realizes that the good times aren't over.
Vas-y, Minou. Chatouille-moi le nénuphar.
Well, this is awkward. I mean, why wouldn't it be after seeing your parents lay mad pipe? But in reality, Flo's more worried about her thoughts that Greg might be cheating. She's tried every hotel in Tanzania, but no Greg. Speaking of Greg, there he is being escorted by a local named Marco Garcia. They then slowly learn that the nice Marco might be a bit of a creep. It turns out Marco owns a zebra, which he thinks got stolen, and whoever stole it replaced it with a half-painted white horse. It's ringing bells. Bad news is that they're decrypting the security footage, and whoever that poor schmuck is, well, he'll end up in cement. Worst news is that he won't let the two go until he fulfills his promise. Cynthia sneaks off to go potty, but they want Greg to stay. The footage comes out and, wouldn't you know it, it's Greg. He goes to catch up with Cynthia, who stole a motorhome, and then they zoom off. The owner was apparently inside, so the two men do Revenge of the Sith. They fight it out, while the trailer cab crashes at a gate that's apparently where the Martin family is eating. What? Cynthia flees the scene.
Wakey, wakey, Greg. You got explaining to do.
He tells him another phony story, but he didn't cheat. Too bad Flo checked his passport somewhere else. Mehdi goes free, and he meets up with Augustine. They finally have a friendly encounter. Back with Greg, looking like Flo's buying the story, so they leave. Then Gerard leaves him a letter that he doesn't want to cheat on his wife anymore. So the contract's done. As for Cynthia, Cynthia goes to swipe Greg's keycard. Then she sneaks in and finds the entire business in Greg's laptop. Good timing, cause Greg got another call for a cheating job, but he declines. Tough luck, that was the French president. Then he gets a text from Cynthia saying he'll regret it. Augustine calls and says she has it at an airport, so the race is on. Greg steals a BMW, Marco catches him and also steals a car to chase him. Marco catches up, but he throws him a cat and he crashes his car. Greg also crashes into a cop car and is detained. Then he finds out his company has been exposed to the news. Soon, all his customers also get exposed. And then he's released and meets Flo. He begs on his knees, but apparently she's moved on and leaves him. Poor Greg, all alone, and his company soon crashes. Time passes, and Flo's with her family in the park when she encounters Greg about to get pummeled. Well, he does, and he wants more because he feels like nothing matters anymore. Until the perfect JCVD kick. Too bad it landed on Flo, though. Greg promises he'll do anything for Flo, which she makes him not lie anymore. The two agree and they kiss. Later, it appears that the former members of alibi.com have a new business of bringing people back together. You can imagine how that goes. Pack it up, guys, because that's it for alibi.com. So what'd you think about this shady movie? I thought it was kind of funny. Let us know in the comments below with the hashtag Cinema Recap. Again, this was alibi.com by Studio Canal, starring Felipe Lachou, Elodie Fontaine, and Didier Bourdon. Until the next cheat flick, adieu.